Listen, sometimes the hardest decision you'll ever make is choosing yourself, but that's exactly what separates those who rise from those who stay stuck. Life is too short to keep pouring into people, places, or situations that don't pour back into you. If somebody can't see your worth, if they overlook your value, you owe it to yourself to step away. Not out of anger, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. Today, I want to break this down into 6 truths you need to hold on to. These are not just ideas, they survival strategies. Respect is the foundation of every relationship. That's the first truth I need you to understand, because without respect, nothing else matters. Respect is deeper than just a word. It's action, it's consistency. It's the way someone makes you feel when you walk into the room. And here's the thing, if a person can't respect you, they can't really love you, they can't truly support you, and they definitely can't build with you. You might think they can, but in reality, anything built on a cracked foundation will eventually fall apart. Think about it. Would you stay in a house where the floor is broken and the roof is leaking? You could decorate the walls, buy expensive furniture, paint it 1,000 colors, but if the structure itself is weak, it's only a matter of time before it collapses. Respect is that structure. Without it, everything else crumbles. The sad reality is, too many people get comfortable living in houses with broken foundations. They accept crumbs and convince themselves one day those crumbs will turn into a feast. But let me tell you, crumbs don't turn into full meals. If someone truly values you, you won't have to beg for acknowledgement. You won't have to question if they see you. They'll make sure you feel seen, because respect doesn't hide. Respect shows up loud, it shows up consistently, and it shows up in ways you don't even have to ask for. But the problem is we often settle. We stay connected to people who only halfway value us, and in doing so, we teach them that it's okay to treat us halfway. You might not say it with words, but every time you allow disrespect, every time you tolerate being overlooked, every time you settle for less than you deserve, you're sending a message. You're telling them this is acceptable. But the moment you walk away, the moment you say, I love myself too much to stay in this space, you flip the script. You show them that your respect is non-negotiable. You set a standard not just for them, but for yourself. I remember hearing about a young man who worked years at a company that never saw his potential. He gave them everything, late nights, early mornings, weekends. He poured himself into that job, hoping that one day they'd notice, one day they reward him. But instead, he kept getting overlooked for promotions. They gave those positions to people less qualified, less committed, less invested. And he stayed because he thought loyalty would eventually be honored. But loyalty without respect is slavery. The day he finally left, the day he took his skills and energy somewhere else, his life changed. Within months, another company not only paid him more, but gave him the recognition and platform he'd been denied for years. And you know what happened after he left? That old company suddenly tried to call him back. Isn't that how it always works? People don't see the value while it's in front of them. But the moment you walk away, the moment they feel the absence, they realize what they lost. Walking away doesn't just teach others how to treat you, it teaches you how to treat yourself. Too many times, we look for validation in places that were never designed to give it to us. We want love from people who can't even love themselves. We want support from people who are too broken to support anyone else. But if you don't respect yourself first, you'll keep waiting for respect from others. And here's the truth. People treat you how you allow them to. If you accept the bare minimum, they'll keep giving it. If you demand respect through your actions, not your words, they'll either rise to the level or they'll fall away. Either way, you win because you've chosen yourself. Let me break it down even simpler. Respect is not about grand gestures. Respect is about the little things that add up. Respect is when someone listens to you when you talk instead of waiting for their turn to speak. Respect is when they remember what matters to you because they actually pay attention. Respect is when they honor your boundaries even when it's inconvenient for them. And respect is also when they can correct you with love, not with malice. If those things are missing, what you have isn't a relationship, it's an arrangement. And arrangements don't last because they're transactional, not foundational. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what if I love them? What if I've known them for years? What if walking away means I'll be alone? That's the fear that keeps so many people stuck. But let me tell you something powerful. Being alone and respected by yourself is better than being surrounded and disrespected by others. There is no peace in being loved halfway. There is no future in trying to build on shaky ground. And there's no honor in staying loyal to what keeps breaking you. I've seen people stay in toxic relationships because they didn't want to start over. They fear loneliness more than they fear disrespect, and every day that choice ate away at their self-worth. Over time, They forgot who they were, because when someone constantly disrespects you, it's not just about them. It's about what it does to you. It shrinks your spirit. It makes you question your value. But when you finally choose yourself, when you finally walk away, it's like breathing fresh air after being underwater for too long. You remember your strength, you remember your worth, you remember that respect is not something you beg for, it's something you embody. That's why I say respect is the foundation. Without it, you don't have a friendship, you don't have a partnership, you don't have a team. You just have proximity. People can be close to you physically, but miles away from you spiritually. Proximity doesn't equal value. Just because they're around doesn't mean they're for you. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is recognize that and move accordingly. Respect isn't earned once and then forgotten. It's something that has to be shown consistently day after day. If someone values you, you won't have to keep reminding them of your worth. And if you do, that's your answer. Don't ignore it. Don't excuse it. Don't rationalize it. Because respect that isn't freely given will always come at too high a price. So when you look at your life, your circle, your relationships, ask yourself, is the foundation strong? Do these people respect me when I'm not in the room? Do they honor my presence when I'm in the room? Do they pour into me the way I pour into them? If the answer is no, then the choice is simple, even if it's not easy. You walk away, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself enough to demand better. And the moment you do that, you'll notice something incredible. Life will start aligning you with people who see you clearly. Doors will open in spaces you didn't even know existed. Opportunities will flow where once there were only closed walls. That's the power of self-respect. It doesn't just change how others see you, it changes what you attract. Because when you value yourself enough to walk away from those who don't, you create room for the ones who will. Energy is currency, spend it wisely. Every single day you wake up with a limited supply of energy, like a bank account that refills overnight. The moment your feet hit the floor, you start making deposits and withdrawals. And the truth is, most people don't even realize they're spending that currency until the account is empty. Every conversation, every interaction, every decision is either adding to your balance or taking away from it. And if you're constantly giving to people who don't value you, you're going broke spiritually. Think about it. Imagine working 60 hours a week, grinding nonstop, showing up every day, and at the end of the week, your boss tells you there's no paycheck. You wouldn't keep showing up to that job, would you? You'd walk out because you know your time and your effort have value. Yet so many of us keep showing up emotionally and spiritually for people who never pay us back with love, respect, or appreciation. We let people overdraft our spirit, and we wonder why we feel drained, why we feel stuck, why we feel empty. You can't afford to waste your energy like that, because your energy shapes your future. Where you spend it decides who you become. The people you give it to decide what kind of life you live. You got to start treating your energy like money. You wouldn't hand your paycheck to somebody who doesn't care if you eat or not. You wouldn't keep giving loans to somebody who never pays you back. So why keep giving your energy to people who don't value it? The problem is, energy thieves don't always look obvious. Sometimes they're disguised as friends, as family, as partners, even as opportunities. You might think you're helping them, but all the while they're pulling from you without putting anything back in. And when your energy gets low, your vision gets blurry. You can't create, you can't focus, you can't grow because you're too busy trying to survive. That's why protecting your energy isn't just about peace, it's about purpose. When your energy is protected, your future is protected. I remember hearing about a young woman who was always the one everybody called. If someone was broke, they called her. If someone needed a ride, they called her. If somebody was going through heartbreak, she was the one sitting up all night listening. And she gave and gave until one day she realized nobody was there for her when she needed help. The phone stayed silent when she was hurting. And it hit her. She was bankrupt, not financially, but spiritually. She had invested all her energy into people who never once tried to pour back into her. That's when she started saying no. Not out of anger, but out of self-love. She cut off the dreams and slowly her life changed. She started building her business, started attracting people who respected her time, who matched her effort. She went from being drained to being fulfilled. That's what happens when you redirect your energy. And let's be real, it's not easy. Saying no feels uncomfortable. Walking away feels heavy. You'll feel guilty. You'll hear people calling you selfish. But I need you to understand, selfish and self-preserving are not the same. If you don't protect your energy, nobody else will. You can't keep trying to light up the world while your own flame is burning out. Sometimes protecting your energy means limiting access. Not everybody deserves front row seats in your life. Some people need balcony seats. Some people don't even need a ticket. Think about your circle right now. Who leaves you inspired after a conversation and who leaves you exhausted? Who motivates you to push further and who drains your motivation before you even get started? That's the math you need to do with your energy. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive. If it leaves you drained, it's not worth the investment. You wouldn't keep throwing money into a business that loses every month, so why throw energy into relationships and situations that never give a return? Even science will back this up. Studies show that stress, toxic relationships, and negativity literally drain your physical energy. They weaken your immune system, they cloud your thinking, they slow down your progress. On the other hand, positive environments, uplifting conversations, and supportive relationships fuel you. They increase your focus. They strengthen your body. This isn't just spiritual talk, it's reality. The people around you directly impact your health, your wealth, and your future. You've got to start seeing yourself as an investor. Every yes is an investment. Every hour you give somebody is equity. So ask yourself, are you investing in things that grow or are you investing in things that waste away? If you put energy into building yourself, into learning, into your vision, into people who match your effort, you'll see a return that compounds over time. But if you keep pouring into people who don't pour back, you'll end up broke in more ways than one. Protecting your energy also means creating space for rest. Because some of us are not just drained by people, we're drained by our own inability to slow down. We try to be everything for everybody, and we never stop to recharge ourselves. But you can't pour from an empty cup. Rest is not laziness. Rest is strategy. It's like charging your phone. Without it, nothing works. You wouldn't let your phone die in the middle of an important call. So why let your spirit die while you're in the middle of building your future? There's a reason why successful people are selective with their time. They don't let everyone have access. They guard their energy like a vault because they understand it's their most valuable resource. Money can be lost and made again. Opportunities can come and go, but once your energy is gone, once your spirit is drained, you can't buy that back. That's why discipline with your energy is the greatest gift you can give yourself. So start making intentional choices. Before you answer that call, ask yourself, will this conversation deposit into me or withdraw from me? Before you say yes to that request, ask, does this align with my goals or distract from them? Before you keep giving your time to someone, ask, do they even value what I give or are they just taking because I allow it? Those questions might be uncomfortable, but they'll save you. Because at the end of the day, energy is everything. It fuels your ideas, it shapes your relationships, it builds your future. Spend it carelessly and you'll always be broke. Spend it wisely and you'll always be rich. Rich in peace, rich in purpose, rich in growth. When you finally cut off the drains, when you finally protect your energy, you'll notice something amazing. You'll start to feel lighter. You'll start moving differently. New opportunities will come your way because now you've got the capacity to see them and the strength to pursue them. You'll attract people who respect your boundaries, who value your time, who add to you instead of subtracting from you. And that's when you'll realize protecting your energy isn't just about today, it's about building the future you deserve. Because when your energy is aligned, your life follows. People show you who they are, believe them. That's one of the hardest truths to swallow because it forces you to face reality instead of holding on to the version of people you wish they could be. We love to create stories in our heads to justify why someone treats us the way they do. We tell ourselves, oh, they didn't mean it, or that's just how they are, or they'll change once things settle down. But the truth is, patterns don't lie. Words can be dressed up, excuses can be made, but actions over time will always reveal the truth. If someone constantly overlooks you, dismisses you, or fails to show up, that's not an accident. That's not a misunderstanding. That's a choice. It's easier to excuse people than to accept that they don't value you the way you value them. It's easier to say, well, they're just busy, than to accept that you're not a priority. But every time you overlook the pattern, you pay the price, because consistency is what defines real value. Anybody can be good to you once in a while. Anybody can show up once, especially if it benefits them. But consistency, showing up time after time without needing to be asked, making you feel seen without demanding recognition, that's the evidence of true value. Think about it. A friend who only calls you when they need a favor is not valuing you. They're valuing what you can provide. A partner who ignores your voice, dismisses your concerns, but still expects loyalty is not valuing you. They're valuing the convenience of having you, not the essence of who you are. A family member who only reaches out when they want something but disappears when you need support is not valuing you. They're using proximity as leverage, not honoring the bond. And the hardest part, sometimes these people aren't evil. They aren't monsters. They're just being exactly who they are. The problem is you refuse to accept it. You keep waiting for them to become someone they've never shown you they are. But life has a way of showing us the truth again and again. The signs are there. You just have to stop ignoring them. I remember hearing about a young man who gave his best years to a relationship. He kept forgiving the same behavior over and over. She'd disappear, she'd lie, she'd disrespect him in small ways that added up to something big. Every time he confronted it, she'd apologize, make promises, and he'd believe her. But months later, the same pattern repeated. It wasn't until he stepped back and looked at the bigger picture that he realized this wasn't an accident. This wasn't a bad day. This was who she was. And once he accepted that, he could finally move on. Because you can't heal while holding on to illusions. See, believing people when they show you who they are doesn't mean holding bitterness. It means choosing clarity. It means looking at the evidence and making decisions based on reality, not potential. Potential is dangerous when it blinds you to the truth. You might see what someone could be if they matured, if they healed, if they changed. But you can't live in could, you can only live in is. And who they are right now is who you have to deal with. If that person doesn't honor your worth, then you have to decide, am I staying out of comfort or am I choosing what I truly deserve? And comfort is powerful. That's why people stay in situations they know are breaking them down. Comfort feels familiar even when it's toxic. You'd rather stay in a place you understand than step into the unknown, even if the unknown is better for you. But what comfort really does is keep you stuck in cycles. It keeps you loyal to what hurts you, and it convinces you that pain is normal. But think about your future. If you keep ignoring patterns, where does that leave you 5 years from now, 10 years? If you keep surrounding yourself with people who only take, who only disrespect, who only show up when it's convenient for them, what kind of life will you build? You can't build greatness on shaky ground. You can't build peace around chaos. You can't build love around disrespect. At some point, you have to stop asking them to change and start asking yourself why you keep accepting it. But believing who people show you they are doesn't just protect your heart, it protects your time. Time is the one resource you never get back. Every year you spend giving to someone who won't give back is a year you could have invested in someone who would. Every conversation you waste justifying someone's behavior is energy you could have put into building something real. When you accept the truth, you stop wasting years waiting for someone to become who they've never been. And I know it hurts. It hurts to realize that the person you love, the person you trust, the person you thought would be there forever is not who you imagine. It feels like loss, but in reality, it's freedom. Because when you finally accept who they are, you stop living in a fantasy, you stop being stuck in cycles of disappointment, and you give yourself permission to move towards something better. It's like business. If you were investing money into a company that kept losing every year, you'd stop investing. You wouldn't keep pouring money into failure. You'd cut your losses and move on. So why do we struggle to do the same in relationships? Because we confuse history with value. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they deserve years more of your life. Just because you've invested time doesn't mean you should keep losing time. The smartest investors know when to walk away. Look at the greatest examples of resilience. The people who elevate, the people who reach higher levels, all had to make the same choice. They had to stop believing excuses and start believing evidence. They had to separate from people who couldn't grow with them, who couldn't respect them, who couldn't match their consistency. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. And that's the point. You can't rise while you're anchored by people who've already shown you they're not for you. So here's the challenge. Pay attention. Stop ignoring the signs. If someone is showing you through their actions that they don't value you, believe them. Don't write another chapter of excuses. Don't paint over red flags with hope. Don't tell yourself stories to justify the pain. The truth is in front of you, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The only question left is, what are you going to do about it? Because believing people doesn't just protect you from pain, it positions you for growth. It clears space for the right ones to enter. It gives you the freedom to invest your energy where it matters, and it shows the universe and yourself that you're done selling for less than you deserve. Patterns don't lie. People show you who they are. All you have to do is believe them and choose yourself. Growth requires letting go. That's one of those truths that sounds simple when you say it, but living it out will test you on a whole different level. You cannot level up while carrying dead weight. It's like climbing a mountain with a backpack full of bricks. You might take a few steps, you might make some progress, but eventually the weight slows you down, drains your strength, and if you keep trying to push with it, it'll break you. The higher you want to climb, the lighter you have to travel. That's just how life works. We all want growth. We all want to reach new heights, experience more peace, find more success, step into the best version of ourselves. But wanting growth and achieving growth are two different things. To grow, you have to release. To rise, you have to let go. And that's where most people struggle. Because letting go doesn't always mean cutting off people you dislike. Sometimes it means creating distance from people you deeply love, but who can't walk the same road as you. That's the part that hurts the most. Look at every major success story. Athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, people who made it to a level others only dream of. They all had to separate from people who didn't share their vision, not because they stopped caring, not because they became arrogant, but because their growth demanded a new environment. They realized that holding on to everybody from the past wasn't possible if they wanted to step into their future. Sometimes love is real, but alignment is missing, and when alignment is gone, progress is impossible. Think about it this way. If a train is headed north and another is headed south, no matter how much they care about each other, they can't travel together. They're on two different tracks going two different directions. And a lot of us waste years trying to drag people onto our train who never bought a ticket for our destination. We keep trying to convince them to ride with us, but deep down we know they're not built for that journey. And while we're busy pulling, begging, explaining, we're not moving forward ourselves. That's why letting go is necessary. It frees you to keep moving toward where you're supposed to be. I've seen so many people with incredible potential stay stuck because they were afraid to release the wrong people. They didn't want to feel guilty. They didn't want to feel alone. They didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. So they stayed surrounded by people who weren't growing, weren't pushing, weren't contributing, and eventually they started shrinking themselves to fit into that space. That's the danger. You might think you can carry dead weight and still reach the top, but what really happens is you adapt to the weight. You move slower, you dream smaller, you compromise more, and before long, the vision you once had becomes a shadow of what it could have been. Letting go isn't betrayal. Letting go isn't hate. Letting go is understanding that not everyone is meant to go where you're going. Some people were only meant to be part of your story for a chapter, not the whole book. But when you try to make every character permanent, you end up delaying your own ending. It takes maturity to accept that. It takes courage to say, I love you, but I can't stay here with you. My growth is calling me elsewhere. And let's be clear, growth isn't only about relationships with others. Growth also requires letting go of old habits, old mindsets, old versions of yourself. You can't step into new levels with the same thinking that kept you stuck before. It's like trying to run new software on an outdated computer. It just won't work. You have to update. That means letting go of excuses, letting go of fear, letting go of the need for approval from everybody around you. If you hold on to those things, they'll weigh you down, just like people who aren't aligned. Take a look at nature. Trees let go of leaves every season, not because the leaves weren't beautiful, not because they didn't serve a purpose, but because the tree knows in order to survive and grow, it has to release what no longer serves it. If nature understands that, why do we struggle with it? Why do we cling so tightly to people, habits, and environments that we know are holding us back? Because letting go feels like loss, but in reality, it's space being created for something new to grow. Think about an athlete who wants to reach the next level. They can't hang out the same way, eat the same way, train the same way as people who aren't chasing what they're chasing. They have to separate. They have to discipline themselves. And often they lose friends along the way, not because they stop caring about those people, but because their journey demanded a different level of focus. Entrepreneurs have to do the same. Leaders have to do the same. Anybody who's serious about growth eventually comes face to face with the truth. Not everyone can go with you. And I know that's not easy. It hurts to distance yourself from someone you've known for years. It hurts to say goodbye to habits that once brought you comfort. It hurts to step into unknown territory. But you've got to ask yourself, what hurts more? Letting go and growing, or holding on and staying stuck? Pain is inevitable, but progress is optional. If you're going to feel pain anyway, let it be the pain that pushes you forward, not the pain that keeps you circling the same block over and over again. Sometimes the people you love will call you selfish for letting go. They'll accuse you of thinking you're better than them. They'll say you changed, and you did. But that's the point of growth. You're not supposed to stay the same. You're supposed to evolve. You're supposed to outgrow certain spaces. That doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you alive. The only thing worse than changing is staying the same when life is demanding you to grow. And here's the beautiful part. When you finally let go of what no longer serves you, you open yourself up to alignment. You make space for people who share your vision. You make room for opportunities that match your purpose. You create energy for habits that build instead of break. Suddenly the climb feels lighter. The air feels clearer. The path becomes visible again. That's when you realize that the weight you carried all those years wasn't just heavy, it was unnecessary. Growth is a trade-off. You trade comfort for progress. You trade old circles for new ones. You trade who you were for who you're becoming. And the sooner you embrace that, the sooner you unlock your potential, because the truth is, you cannot rise without release. You cannot evolve without sacrifice. You cannot grow while holding on to what was never meant for your next level. So when you feel the pull of growth, don't resist it. Don't water down your vision just to keep people comfortable. Don't shrink yourself just to fit into spaces you've outgrown. Respect yourself enough to release. Trust yourself enough to step forward. Believe in yourself enough to understand that letting go isn't the end. It's the beginning of everything you were meant to become. A lot of people confuse distance with bitterness. They look at you stepping back, creating space, moving differently, and the first thing they think is that you're angry or that you're holding grudges. But let me be clear, choosing yourself is not selfish, it's survival. You cannot give the best version of yourself to the world if you're constantly surrounded by those who diminish you, drain you, or dismiss you. Walking away is not about hate, it's about love. Love for yourself, love for your future, and even love for your peace. Think of it like oxygen on an airplane. Before every flight, the attendants give that same instruction. Put your mask on first before helping others. Why? Because you can't save anyone if you suffocate, and you can't help anybody if you're out of breath, if you're struggling just to survive. That's exactly what walking away is. It's putting your mask on first. It's saying, I need to breathe. I need to be whole. I need to protect my spirit before I can give anything to anybody else. The problem is society often glorifies self-sacrifice. We're taught that being a good person means always being available, always saying yes, always pouring out until you're empty. But the truth is, empty people can't pour. You can't keep giving from a well that's dry. Eventually, bitterness sets in, resentment grows, and you lose yourself in the process. Walking away is how you refill. Walking away is how you stop the cycle before it destroys you. I've seen people stay in jobs, relationships, even friendships that were slowly killing them on the inside because they thought leaving would make them look selfish. They thought walking away meant they were weak. But what's really weak? Staying somewhere that drains you because you're afraid of judgment, or having the courage to walk away and rebuild yourself even when people don't understand? The strongest people aren't the ones who hold on the longest. They're the ones who know when it's time to let go. Let me give you an example. There was a man who worked at a company for over 20 years. He gave his life to that place. Long nights, weekends, holidays missed with his family. He thought loyalty meant security. But the moment the company downsized, they let him go without hesitation. He realized then that all his sacrifice didn't mean much to them. He had put them first for decades, and they didn't put him first for a single day. That's the lesson. If you don't choose yourself, don't expect anybody else to. Walking away from that job wasn't bitterness, it was survival. He had to create a life where his value wasn't defined by a company that never respected him in the first place. The same applies in relationships. You can love someone deeply and still know they're not good for your spirit. You can wish them well and still walk away. People will try to make you feel guilty, like leaving means you never cared, but that's not true. In fact, sometimes leaving is the deepest form of care for yourself and even for them, because staying in a toxic space doesn't help either of you grow. You just end up enabling the cycle. Walking away breaks it. It's also important to understand that distance doesn't erase love. You can walk away and still love someone. You can walk away and still wish the best for them. But you walk away because you finally understand that loving them should not come at the cost of losing yourself. That's the difference between selfishness and self-love. Selfishness says only I matter. Self-love says I matter too. And when you understand that, you stop apologizing for protecting yourself. A lot of us are afraid of being labeled cold or heartless when we choose distance, but you need to realize people who truly value you won't accuse you of selfishness for walking away. They'll respect your boundaries. They'll honor your growth. They'll understand your need for peace. The only ones who get angry are the ones who benefited from your lack of boundaries in the first place. If somebody is mad that you're putting yourself first, it's because they can no longer use you the way they once did. And let's talk about peace for a moment. Peace is priceless. You can't buy it. You can't fake it. And you can't substitute it with distractions. When your spirit is at peace, everything else in your life aligns better. But you can't have peace if you're constantly surrounded by chaos. You can't have peace if you're living in environments where you're unappreciated or disrespected. Walking away creates a space for peace to grow. And once you experience real peace, you'll never want to go back to the noise. I know it's not easy. Walking away often means stepping into the unknown. It means leaving behind what's familiar, even if it's unhealthy. It means risking loneliness, risking judgment, risking misunderstanding. But here's the thing. Loneliness is temporary, but staying in the wrong place can last forever. Judgment fades, but the regret of never choosing yourself will stay with you. People may not understand